Hey, you guys, welcome back to Life with Kirsty Kayn. I want to say, first of all, a massive big thank you to each and every one of you who listened to my ramblings in episode 1. I actually can't believe I'm on Spotify. That is a huge tick off the vision board for me, something that I wanted for so long, but honestly, over the last couple of years, kind of talked myself out of even wanting it because it felt like everybody had a podcast. And the most predictable thing for me to do was to create a podcast for business, to talk about marketing and social media and mindset and money and identity and all of the things that you guys know me as when I am in my coaching space. But to be honest, I'm not one to be predictable. I'm not one to want to do the thing that people expect me to do. You just have to have known me for a short amount of time to understand that I kind of have that whole, I'll do whatever the hell I want to do, especially when I know it makes me happy, in a very non-selfish way. I am certainly not one to really be used to putting myself first. I'm actually the most selfless person. I put everybody before me. And one thing that I have really learned, and really that's where the title of this podcast came from, is that you have to love yourself first enough to put yourself first in some situations. And I'm going to tell you a story today as we really dive into the deeper conversations of this podcast, Life with Kirsty Kayn. I'm going to tell you today about a time where I really did put myself first in a big ass way. I manifested a fucking house. I manifested a house. And this story is one that is so laced in trust, in knowing that the universe is going to catch you when you fall, and that real undeniable trust that everything will work out exactly as it is meant to work out. And I feel like this is the perfect place to start for going into these deeper episodes. So as I take you back to 2018, which up until this year, actually, 2025 had a really turbulent period for me. And we'll touch on that as we get deeper into these episodes. But 2018, as it stands, is probably the biggest pivotal year of my adult life. Not probably, actually. That's bullshit. Who are you trying to kid? It completely changed my life in so many ways. Let me paint the picture for you. You're probably going to want to buckle up for this, by the way, because I'm about to take you through the breakdown of me, the breakthrough of probably my sanity, if I'm completely honest. But in that process, I'm also going to teach you the law of attraction, how to manifest, because I'm a master manifester, you guys. I can manifest the shit out of life, and I absolutely love it. I'm also a qualified practitioner for the law of attraction and manifestation. I know a thing or two about how the universe works when we want to magnetize ourselves to our desires. And I'm going to tell you the most unhinged story of how I manifested the house that you can actually see in the background. You guys, we're on YouTube now. Can I just have a round of applause for us here? We're on YouTube with this podcast. How exciting is that? That means I've actually got a little bit dressed up. I've got a new shirt on, a new sexy little top underneath it you can't even see. And this is all about feeling good while I'm recording something like this. We're taking this step by step and growing this podcast together. Episode 1 was our kind of like welcome to the show. This episode, we're stepping up a gear and we're on YouTube. Have I figured out my jingle yet? Possibly not. Maybe if it was on the start of this episode, but we don't know yet. I don't know yet. That's a job that I'm looking at this afternoon, so we'll see if I can get that finalised by the time that you are listening to this. If not, then hopefully for the week after. But anyway, I digress, as I often do. Let me talk to you about manifesting a fucking house. I want to take you back to May 2018. I had just told the person that I was married to for 8 years that I wanted a divorce. He had moved out of the house and I knew that I didn't want to stay in that house by myself with my 2 girls and my dog. Now, don't get me wrong, the house was beautiful. It was that idyllic, I don't even know how you say that word. It was a beautiful house on a nice little hill in the country, surrounded by fields where you quite often had sheep or cows as neighbours. It was gorgeous and it was a lovely place to have lived, to have seen beautiful sunsets, absolutely stunning, stunning skies, stunning scenes, especially in the summertime, with 360-degree views around the house. It was just gorgeous. The house was big. However, it was a rented property. And as much as the house was really nice and it was big and the location was gorgeous, what I didn't like is how alone I felt. Because when you have just gone through a separation from someone that you had been with for, I think it was like 12 years or something like that at that point. And before that, you had been in relationship after relationship and you had never actually spent any time on your own. I was actually scared of my own company, which really surprises me because today I crave my own company. I'm saying to the kids and my boyfriend and everyone, like, leave me alone. Give me some peace, please. This is why after doing the school run, I sit in my car in my driveway for 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm all by myself. Nobody needs me. It's just me, and this is absolute bliss. Anyway, I didn't want to stay in that house by myself because, to be honest, I was not winning the mindset game in that house. I felt not just lonely, but I felt alone as well. I was 4 or 5 miles away from civilization, if you like. It was dark outside at night, really dark, and I felt a bit scared, vulnerable, like I said, lonely, alone. Anxiety decided to move into my body and take up space as my new bestie that I didn't really want. And I'm like, this isn't it for me. I need a fresh start. That's when I realised that I wanted to move house. I wanted to move myself and my girls. Kaylin had just turned 4 and Casey was 6, and I had my dog. I wanted to move us into our own house, a fresh start, somewhere with neighbours, that was close to the school, somewhere that I could look outside my window and actually see people passing by, rather than looking out my window and literally seeing a sheep give birth in the field. Okay, I wanted people. I wanted community. I wanted to feel part of something rather than just someone that's existing upon this hill out in the countryside. And that's when I pulled out a familiar piece of paper. I had shown the man that I was divorcing a picture of this house that I now live in. The picture that I'd printed off from the internet was a picture. There was 2 pictures of the outside of the house and 1 picture of the attic space. There was nothing from inside the house. There was mention of the size of the house, the square footage, the number of bedrooms, the 2 reception rooms that are kind of open plan. One that I'm sitting in right now is my office. The front and back garden, detached house, beautiful. Close to the school, a few streets away from my mum, perfect. But when I'd shown him, he was not in the slightest bit interested. But I hadn't thrown out the pictures, I kept a hold of them. Because what I realised is that the universe had a bit of another plan for me. The universe had decided to take this person out of my life and allow me and my girls to inquire about this house. So the first thing I did was to phone the estate agent, because the house was up for rent. I phoned to register my interest. I was told on the phone, the house isn't officially on the market yet, but we will keep a note of your name and your details. We'll be in touch. I was like, okay, great, perfect, fantastic. And I came off the phone and I started to get that little bit excited. You know, I hadn't really felt excitement at this new chapter. I'd felt pure fucking dread, if I'm completely honest with you. I realised on day 1 of independent mum life, which was May 8th, 2018, I realised I was terrified of the unknown. I'm the kind of person, like, I've had vision boards for years. I future pace my vision. I have 5-year, 10-year plans, and every single thing had just crumbled around me and I didn't even know where I was going to be the next day. That did not make me feel good. And that was the thing that I found hardest about that separation. It wasn't the fact I was on my own with my girls, because I'd had years of experience by this point. It was pretty much always just me and my girls. So that didn't really change. What changed was the predictability of where I was going to be in a month's time. The financial security changed, but that's a whole other conversation. And the fear of the unknown, of just not knowing what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how I'm going to feel, and also how the fuck I'm going to manage all this. Because I was in this funny position. Before my separation, I had just launched my coaching business. I launched my coaching business on, I'm smiling because it's such a weirdly funny yet proud moment. because I launched my coaching business on January 1st, 2018. Do you want to know how much money I made in my first month? £30. 30. That's it in my first month. 5 months into that same year, I wasn't any better off financially. And I now had zero income into my life and 2 kids to raise. And we were living off of my ex-husband's wages, which he had since obviously taken out of the bank account. They were his wages. So I was in a position where I had zero income and I had 2 children to raise and a hell of a lot of stress and pressure on my shoulders. But I'm not one to ever let anything like that stop me. So I'd registered my interest for the house and I was going about the rest of my day, feeling a little bit excited about maybe this is it. Maybe this is the beginning of change. You know, when you're going through such a hard time, and this will be relevant for any of you who have experienced any form of hard time before. You get so used to being stuck in the hard moments. You get so used to feeling alone. You get so used to feeling sad and down, and it's very easy for you to make that your day-to-day. But I want you to be conscious of any time that you do that in the future and start to say to yourself, you know what, I am in control of this here. I have the power to change this. If I want something different, I need to do something different. Because when it comes to the law of attraction, we talk a lot about frequency, about vibration, about your vibe, because ultimately every single thing in this universe is energy. When you strip it way back to its bare minimum, you have atoms, you have matter. Those atoms vibrate, and this is what creates frequency. The vibrations of atoms all combined together to create things. It's a very, very basic explanation of quantum physics. We're not about to go deep into quantum physics here on the podcast. Never say never, but not at the moment. So when you are low vibe, okay, low vibration, that means what you're feeling is a much lower frequency than what you desire. Here's the thing. I don't want you to think that you're not magnetic at any point in your life. You're magnetic all the time. So if you're vibrating at a much lower frequency, you're magnetic to the things on that lower frequency. More pain, more loss, a flat tire on your car, your washing machine breaking down, an unexpected payment coming out of your bank. All of these things, these are low frequency things that you're magnetic to when you have a lower frequency. But when you elevate your frequency, when you raise your vibe, okay, you know the term high vibe? How many times have you heard someone say, yeah, that event was so high vibe, or I walked into the room, it was such good vibes in there, such great vibes, such positive vibes. That's because the frequency is higher. When you have that higher frequency, you're magnetic to things with a higher frequency. More happiness, more joy, more opportunity, finding money in the street, a compliment from a stranger, something exciting landing in your inbox, a message from someone that you've potentially had your eye on. All of these things come with being a higher frequency. And being the lover of law of attraction, something that I've studied for upwards of probably about 15 years at this point, I knew that if I stayed in that lower frequency, I'd probably have never moved out of that old house. I would have succumbed to feeling alone, lonely, sad, anxious. That's not somewhere I wanted to build my life from. I am someone who has always had that mindset of that idea of I want to build a life by design. And that all comes down to elevating your frequency and choosing what you get to be magnetic to. So when hope entered the chat, when I clung to that little bit of hope of this is maybe our new start, I really clung to that very tightly because I hadn't felt anything else apart from negative emotions, lower vibrations over the days and weeks previous. So when hope came, I was like, I have to run with this. I have to run with this because if I don't, I'm never going to change my life. So I started to get excited. I text my mum saying, I've just registered my interest in this house, and it was great. Now the next day came, and now alongside hope, impatience entered the chat. Now the reason that impatience came to the party was because I wasn't feeling calm, rooted, or regulated. I was feeling slightly unhinged. I had called it quits. on my marriage of 8 years, my relationship of, I'm sure it was 12. Can't even remember when we got together. Round about 12 years anyway. And I had said yes to raising 2 kids by myself with 0 income. And I started to think logically about it, and I thought, fuck, what do we do? So I decided to call the estate agent again, just to ask a couple of questions. So I called and I asked the questions of, when do you think the house will be on the market? Because I really want to see inside it. And I was told, we don't know yet. There's someone living in the house just now, and we need them to move before we can let you have a look inside the house, because they don't want anyone going in to have a look about while they're still living there. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Thanks. Came off the phone. The next day, I had that feeling of, what if someone else wants this house too? So it was still listed on the website. So I called back again, and I was told, as it stands, you're the only person that has applied for this house. I'm like, okay, that's great. I just wanted to know. And I came off the phone again. Now, at this point, I started to get a little bit more excited. It was looking more likely that at some point, that would be my home. Was I jumping to conclusions? Probably. But I was very much in a period of my life where I gave 0 fucks about big decisions like this. So I started to prepare for a move when I didn't even have a house to go to. Now, let me break this down for you. Step 1 of the law of attraction is something that not a lot of people actually teach. And it's also to do with your frequency. So before I get ahead of myself, I want to break this down to you as we go. Step 1 is to be grateful for where you're at. Now, I'd lay in bed after sleepless nights for a few weeks at this point, and sometimes I wouldn't sleep at all. Sometimes I would go on YouTube and I would type in a question into the search bar, and I would search for anybody talking about being in my situation, because the fear of the unknown kept me awake at night. I just wanted somebody to say, you know what, it's okay, it all works out. But nobody was having that conversation. It made me wonder if it was even possible. So after sleepless nights, I started to notice the sunrise under the blinds in my bedroom window that lit up part of my bed covers with gorgeous golden light. And I remember grabbing my journal and writing how grateful I was that I'd made it to the morning, and that I knew as soon as my girls were up, I didn't have to cry or be worried or scared anymore, because they were the perfect distraction all day. Being on my own at night, that's when the world felt very heavy, very suffocating, and very scary, if I'm completely honest. Everything that I once knew was gone and changing rapidly, and I couldn't keep up. And it was wild, because this was my decision to make. It was my decision to call it quits. It was my decision to move house. It was my decision to say, you know what, I actually want more for my life, and I'm brave enough now to go after it. But I didn't feel brave. I really didn't. There was moments where I had a tiny little element of bravery in my heart, and I ran with that until I was in tears and shaking and crying and not in a good place and feeling very vulnerable, very exposed, very weak. So I would stay home, hang out with my girls, do tiny little things until that next little bit of bravery. So I digress again. I was writing in my journal about gratitude, about being grateful. I actually have the word grateful tattooed on my body, because having an attitude of gratitude completely transformed my life, completely changed my life forever. So I started to journal about how grateful I was for my current situation. And when you're happy for your current situation, the universe will deliver you more, because it knows that you are grateful for the situation that you're in at that moment in time. The next step of the law of attraction, step number 2, is to get crystal clear on what you want. For me, that was the picture of the house, the pictures of the outside, the description of the inside. Thinking to myself, yes, this is what I want. I want community. I want people. I want neighbours. I want to be within walking distance of the school. I want to be within walking distance of a park, of a local shop, of my mum. I want to feel part of something again. I want to feel included. I don't want to feel lonely or alone anymore. And this is the house that I want to live in. So up until that point, it was pretty straightforward. Step number 3 of the law of attraction is to declare to the universe, this is what I want. And in my situation, the universe was the estate agent. I declared to the estate agent, this is what I want. I want this house. I want to register my interest. I want to put my name down. I want to see inside the house as soon as it's available to be explored. I was declaring to the universe. Step number 4 for me is where things got very unhinged. And to be honest, I'm surprised my mum wasn't asking a hell of a lot more questions about my mental state. Because I went from clinging on to hope to fully riding that tiny little seed of hope like it was a fucking rodeo. I laugh when I think about it because it's one of my favourite stories to tell, but every time I tell it, people raise their eyebrows and they're like, what the fuck, Kirsty? So let me set the scene. Mum of two that are 4 and 6, next to no income, newly separated, living life literally hour by hour, making sure that I don't have a mental breakdown, to having this whole entire mental breakdown in the form of manifesting a house. Wild times. So, step number 4 is to act as if the thing that you're wanting to manifest is already yours. To normal people, let's say you wanted to manifest a significant other. What this would look like would be sleeping on one side of your bed rather than sleeping like a starfish in the middle. Because you know that when you have someone else sharing your bed, you can't starfish no more. You've got to give them some space. This means maybe clearing out a drawer so that when that significant other stays over, they have a place to put their things. This means keeping your Friday evenings or whatever evening you choose, keeping that evening clear because that's date night. And it means on that night, you're probably going to be ordering a takeaway, lighting some candles and watching some Netflix solo, but you're sending the message to the universe of, I have space in my bed, I have space in my home, I have time for this person, I have the capacity to receive my significant other, as well as lots of other little things. Like I remember, we'll do a whole episode on, maybe it'll be part 2 of how I manifested a house and it'll be how I manifested my boyfriend. But I done little things like buy men's shower gel for me to use it in the shower just to have this scent. This is batshit crazy. People are going to be listening to this thinking, what the fuck? But it worked, right? It was the men's Radox shower gel. It smells insane. It is so good, you guys. And to use that and to be able to smell that masculine scent as soon as you walked into my bathroom, you would actually think that there was a guy living here way before there was any man in this house. So little things like that, but we'll go on to that at another time. So back to manifesting this house and acting as if it was already mine. I decided to tell my landlord of the house that I was in that I was moving in 1 month. I had to give her 30 days notice. So I texted her and said, this is my 30 days notice. I'll write your formal email and I will email it over. But this right here is day 1 of 30. And I gave her my moving out date. I then decided, because it was coming close to the summer holidays or close to the end of term for my girls, we would go and pick up some cardboard boxes because wouldn't it be exciting to start packing up the house? So we did that. We started packing. We'd collect a couple of boxes on the way home and we would go home and start packing. And over the next couple of weeks, I was packing up my whole entire house. I didn't feel like I had much to pack, to be honest, because I did leave a lot of stuff there. I was only taking the bare minimum, which was basically most of my things, everything that belonged to my girls, my bed, my sofa, my dog. Things like kitchen things, cutlery, plates, all of that. I didn't want any of that. Pots and pans and serving dishes and photo frames and all this other stuff. I didn't want that in my new house. I didn't want any of that old energy in my new house because this new house, this was going to be my happy house, my healing house, my house where I really came back home to myself, the house where I learned to love myself first every time. So I was packing up the house every day, another box. And every single day, I would phone the estate agent with another question. Now, after I put in maybe 14 or 15 calls, I was told, please don't call back again. You've filled out an application form. We will be in touch when the house is available for you to have a look at. And I was told not to call back. Now, I had a choice here. Do I listen to the estate agent and not call back and risk someone else taking the house? Or do I say fuck it and call back anyway? I needed them to know this was my house. So I phoned back every single day for over 6 weeks. Crazy, right? I told you would question my mental state during this time. Because I took it even further. I had 2 of my application forms ripped up while I was on the phone. I could actually hear them tear the paper. And I was told, your application form is in the bin. You're harassing us. Leave us alone. Do not call back. Guess what I did the next day? I called back, obviously. I didn't want them to forget about me. Oh my gosh, what a time to be alive. So I called back every day, apologised, and asked to fill out another form. During this time, I was also passing this house on the way from my old house to my children's school and nursery. I purposely would drive past this way because I wanted to feel what it would feel like going from this house to the school, to actually make that drive. So I did that every single day. After dropping them off, because I wanted to see this house properly every single day, I would drop the kids off and I would drive to this house. I would park across the road. I would get out my journal and I would future script about how incredible it is to live inside this house. I told you I'd lost my fucking mind. I was sitting there writing about living in this house when there was still people living in this house, and my application form was being ripped up, and my landlord was like 20 days to go, and all of my whole entire house was in fucking boxes. I didn't know if I was going to move here or not on paper. In my mind, that was it. Moving van was ordered. We were moving in. So I would future script about living in this house, about what the house was like inside, about taking my kids to the park, about walking to the shop, about walking them to school. Spoiler alert, I've lived here for, I think, 7.5 years. I think I've walked them to school about 5 times. But I would future script about all of that. Once I picked my kids up from the school at the end of the day, school and nursery, I would take them to the park across the road from the house to let them feel what it's like to play at that park, for me to feel like I'm part of this community, this neighbourhood already. If I needed anything, if I needed milk or bread or snacks for the kids, I would purposely drive to the shop near the house, because that's what I would do when I lived here. And notice I said when I live here, not if. Because if you're always saying, if this happens, that's fueled by doubt. When this happens is fueled by certainty. I made no mistakes in the process of manifesting this house. So there I was across the road, journaling around living here, playing with my kids at the park, going to the shop to buy what we needed to buy, going to the coffee shop for my coffee if I was getting a takeaway coffee, and being in this neighbourhood as much as possible, at least once a day. I had to have a touch point with the house. And then on my way home, taking more boxes, packing up more things. I was drawing on the sides of the boxes with the kids because we'd packed everything. We had nothing to do the last few weeks we were at that house. It was like that episode of, I don't know if I can say it on podcast, I don't know what the copyright is around it, but the well-known show with a bunch of friends where they build a fort out of boxes. That's what it was like every single day. Cardboard city in my old house. Now, during this time as well, of course, obviously, I took it further, right? I was still on the phone to the estate agent every single day. They were starting to get pretty pissed off. I'd given notice for my electricity supplier to say that I was leaving. Final meter readings would be on their way. I'd cut off my Sky TV. I was cutting off all of the services at my other house. I was struggling to pay for them, to be completely honest. Being in a situation where you don't have an income, it was my full-time focus to manifest this house. So as much as I was struggling, it was actually helpful for me to also cut off all these services and live a bare minimum life while all this craziness was going on in the background. I say in the background, it was very much the foreground. It was very much my entire existence was dedicated to manifesting this house. And I was definitely acting as if it was already mine. I told a few of my friends from the school, so some of the other school mums, about moving. I even told them what house, and I had zero confirmation at this point that this house was mine. I started to get excited. I started to tell the girls, this is the house we're moving to. I wonder what window is going to be your bedroom. I wonder what it's going to be like. I started to buy some new stuff for this house. Like I said, there's a lot of things from my old house that I didn't want to bring. I didn't want any of that negative energy, plates that he had eaten off of and cutlery he'd put in his mouth. I didn't want them in this new house. So I bought everything new, particularly for my kitchen, all new bedding, new duvet, new bed covers, all of that. My mum was helping me out a little bit financially during this time, and I started to get a couple of coaching client sales come through. So yes, I was living a bare minimum life, but we were really making it work. Then I got a phone call from the estate agent, them calling me. I answered my phone so quickly. When I answered, expecting them to say, you've got the house, come and see inside it, it's all yours, it's beautiful. They told me, Kirsty, your mum's partner, well, he had been caught in the garden of this house, the back garden of this house, having a look at what the garden was like, because he wanted to help me out by cutting the grass and tidying up the garden, and he wanted to know what he was actually going to be faced with. But what I was faced with was being told, don't you ever call here again. The current tenants of that house were home and he was creeping into the back garden. That's not allowed. Your application is firmly in the bin. So that was the third time my application had been ripped up and put in the bin. I was furious with my mum's partner. Furious. I know you had the best intentions, right? But that's more unhinged than me at this point, and that's really saying a lot because I was very unhinged. So my mum had said to him, you have to apologise to the lady at this estate agent's for your behaviour. And he had gone and bought her a bottle of whatever it was and had actually gone down to apologise. And this is coming from someone that I have never heard apologise in my life. I've certainly never heard him say the word sorry. He does the typical, oh, I apologise. Own your shit. Say you're sorry, but it was an I apologise. But in this situation, I didn't care because I just needed to fill out another application. So I called back the next day. I'm really sorry. Bill will be coming down to apologise. Please, while he's there, can he pick up another application form? Wow. The audacity of me in that moment. Wild. Just wild. So long story short, I had another application form. I filled it in. I handed it in. I was back on the list. And I continued to call them every single day. Now, on one occasion, I had a conversation with a man called Peter on the phone from the estate agents. And he said to me, Kirsty, you know what? If you want the house that bad, come and sign the lease. I'm like, fuck it. I'll be right there. Let's go. Let's go and sign this lease. But the catch was, you can't see inside the house just yet. But if you really want it, if you're that dedicated and if you're that committed, sign the lease. It was almost as if he looked me dead in the eye and said, I fucking dare you. Because guess what, Peter? I didn't give a flying fuck about anything at this point. I'm going to sign the lease and I'm going to dance all the way down to the estate agent's office to fucking sign the lease because I didn't care. Bring it on. So I signed the lease and within, I think it was 2 days, I got a phone call. You can come and see the house now. And I'm like, of course. The universe has always got your back, right? The universe has always got your back. Of course, I'm getting to see the house now. I've signed the lease, paid my deposit, thanks to my mum. I am so ready to see inside this house. So I met Peter at the house with my mum and my girls. My heart was beating out of my chest. This was the moment I actually got to step inside this house after 6 weeks or so of daily. They called it pestering. I called it communication with the estate agents for me to move in or for me to see the house. The lease was signed. The house was mine. Now it was time to see inside. Now, when I say my heart and soul left my body the second I opened that front door, that would actually be an understatement. Because as I opened the front door and Peter allowed me to take the first step in, my heart, my soul, my stomach left my body, my jaw hit the ground because the house was fucking disgusting. No word of a lie. The house smelled gross. It had that wet dog, we've never opened our windows for 4 years smell. There was a waist height line of, I wouldn't even call it mud. It wasn't mud. It was just like grime around the whole hallway. And when I looked at Peter, I didn't even have to say anything. He looked at me and he went, dogs, 2 of them. They never go outside. Wow. Now, bless my mum in this situation because she sprung into solution mode and was saying to me, don't worry, we can clean it. Maybe we can paint. Peter, can we paint? Are we allowed to paint? He's like, yeah, I'm sure you're allowed to paint. Didn't realise it was this bad. Yeah, fuck it, you can paint. I don't care. You can paint it. Clean it. It's fine. And I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? This is a bit horrible. I looked in the room that my girls would have and decided to give them the bigger room because they would both be sharing. And I mean, it was okay. The carpet was green, not from dirt or germs. It was just gross. And I mean, it was fine. The walls were like a creamy colour with all these marks and stuff on them. And it's okay, we could paint, right? We could paint. That's all I could hear my mum saying. We can paint, we can clean, we can paint. I went into the room that would be mine and the floor, the carpet was blue. And whoever put the carpet down hadn't even put the carpet down properly. It was actually nailed to the floor. And fun fact, to this day, it's one of the only parts of the house that I haven't changed. It's still nailed to the floor. But my bed's that big, it takes up just about the whole room anyway, so you don't even notice. I'm totally exposing myself here, but it's fine. So my room was fine, is what it is. The bathroom was okay. It was fine. The living room, the carpet was this like deep chocolatey brown carpet. But you know when you're in a nightclub and you walk and it's like the ground feels tacky and your shoes kind of stick that little bit? That's what the floor felt like. The smell from that living room, holy shit, it's like they actually bathed the dogs there. It was disgusting. The windows, Peter was right, the windows were all firmly shut. It smelled musty and just weird and not nice. I came round from the living room round into the space that I'm in now, my office, which was a dining room, and I immediately thought, okay, fine. Big windows in this house, really big windows. It actually sucked that the last people kept the blinds closed and the windows closed. A lot of natural light in here, that was a plus, right? Highlighted all the shit on the walls. My office space, I was looking at it and I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe that could work. And then I opened the door into the kitchen. Now, the kitchen has two doors. It has a sliding door from my office and it has a doorway from the hall. I couldn't even see the doorway from the hall because there was dog cages stacked up. But I opened the sliding door from my office into the kitchen and I could have fallen to the ground in tears because where the fuck was the kitchen, you guys? There wasn't even kitchen units. There were table legs with planks of wood on the top. Instead of an extractor fan, there was a hole in the wall that actually looked like it had been made by somebody's fist. I looked at the kitchen, tears rolling down my face, and went over to the window and had the random, unhinged thought of writing my name in all of the grime and the grease and the germs that were stuck to the kitchen window. Looking at what was going to be my kitchen, knowing that the kitchen is the heart of the home, especially if you're a mum and you've got little ones and you're always cooking and they always want snacks, right? It absolutely broke my heart. At this point, I honestly felt like I had jumped into a blender and just been like, fuck it, let's turn it up full speed just for fun. It felt like a major punch in the face. And I was absolutely devastated that I was so persistent about signing a lease. What had I done? I'd signed a lease on a house that I hadn't even seen inside. And now I was in it and I was like, oh, I kind of regret that. I kind of regret being so persistent about signing that lease. I looked at Peter and he put a hand on my shoulder. I don't know if Peter was psychic or not, but he certainly read my mind. To be honest, I don't think you could hide the look on my face. Tears rolling down my cheeks silently. You know, those kind that they just flood out of your eyes. Those tears. The real, I'm hurt, I'm broken, I'm struggling here. Tears. And he said to me, look, I'm sorry I got you to sign this lease. I didn't know it was like this. And I said to him, it's okay. I signed the lease. This isn't on you. I signed the lease. And my mum was still going on about painting. She's like, don't worry, we can paint. We'll sort out some worktops. We'll sort out some cupboard doors and some proper cupboards. We'll paint it. It'll be fine. But a few coats of paint was not going to fix this kitchen. To be honest, I didn't even know if it would fix the house. At this point, I realised that both my girls had been missing for a little while and the back door was open. So I looked out into the garden and they had disappeared almost in the long grass. My 4-year-old had definitely disappeared because the grass was actually taller than her. And I'm like, great, this house comes with a fucking jungle. How exciting. What a bonus. Really scored a good one there. So that was a situation of me acting as if it was already mine. I'd kind of landed myself in a bit of a shitty situation. Peter's final parting words to me were, you can't move into the house yet. Leave it with me. I'll be in touch. And I was like, you know what, Peter? Whatever. I need to sulk. I need to have a moment. I'm feeling very low frequency right now. I just want to cry and cuddle my girls and tell them, look, everything's going to be okay. We'll make the most of a really tough situation, which we kind of had been doing for the last couple of months at this point. Everything will work out fine. Now, like I said earlier on in this episode, I'm recording this from that house because some magic happened. And this is one of my favourite bits to share. So step number 5 of the law of attraction is to let go and trust. Now, this is the thing, this is the part that so many people struggle with, because rather than letting go and just trusting that the right thing will happen at the right time, they constantly look around thinking, where's my manifestation? Is it here yet? When's it coming? Why didn't it arrive yet? Is it going to be tomorrow? What about today? Is this even going to work for me? But that's not trusting. What I had to do was completely surrender to everything that was going on. And all I focused on doing was living day to day, getting through the day and trying to find those tiny little glimmers of hope. I would still continue to act as if this house was mine, because at this point that was reality, right? It was mine. I just didn't know when. I would still drive past it every day. I would still drive past it on the way home to my other house. We were still going to the park near the house. At this point, I was starting to recognise other people that lived in the street because I'd seen them so often. But the only thing that I wasn't doing was calling the estate agent, because I didn't have to question what I knew was already on its way to me. Like I said, it's that energy of being certain that your manifestation is on its way to you. So as the days passed, I started to notice outside this house, on my way to school and nursery and on my way home, there were white vans. There were random bits of wood in the driveway. There was a painter and decorator van at one point. There was a gardening van at one point. All of these people coming and going, coming and going. And I started looking, thinking, where are they getting this wood from? What have they taken out of the house? Couldn't figure it out. Every single day I would go past. I would still sit outside and do my journaling, my future scripting, watching who was at the house. I was being a complete fucking weirdo about this. But to be honest, having that process to focus on really got me through the first few months of independent mum life. So eventually I get a phone call from the estate agent, from Peter, and I answer the phone. It had been weeks at this point. We were just into the start of the summer holidays in July. And Peter said to me, your keys are ready. You can come and pick them up now. And my heart sank. I'm like, this is it. This is it. Get your big girl pants on because you're going to work. I had a bucket that I had bought all of these cleaning products and I had them all inside that bucket, and I had rubber gloves and bleach and sponges and everything. I'd arranged for my girls to go to my mum's so that I had time to at least get in the house. I had my mum's partner, Bill, he was at my old house. We had arranged for a van. We had this team ready to be assembled and come together at the drop of a hat. A man in a van at my old house with Bill ready to drive the first load of stuff here as I was down picking up my keys. Now I came to this house. I was by myself. I needed that moment. I put the key in the front door. I had the key in my right hand. I had the bucket with the cleaning products and my rubber gloves in my left. And I opened the door, and within seconds I was on my knees crying. It felt like that moment where it just all came together. You've got your new house. You've got your fresh start. You've got your community, your people, your neighbours. You're close to the school. You actually love this neighbourhood. But that wasn't all I was crying about, because the smell hit me in the face the second I opened that door. But it wasn't the smell of the dogs. It was the smell of fresh paint. Because as I got up off the ground and stopped being weird in front of the neighbours, I noticed that the whole house had been painted inside. I'd always wanted a house with all white walls, and guess what? This house has all white walls. The windows no longer had all the dirt and grime and my initials. The windows were sparkling. They'd been cleaned, every inch of them. I went into my girls' room, into my room, the bathroom, immaculate, all freshly painted. New carpet in my girls' room. Came into the living room. The old carpet was still here, but I was told I could put a new carpet down if I wanted. All white walls, immaculate, so clean. Came round into my office. Beautiful. Loved it. Then came that sliding door moment. I put my hands on the handle of the sliding door into the kitchen and I slowly slid that door open. It gets me every single time, because as I slowly slid that door open, I saw something that I never expected to see. I saw a brand new kitchen. It was even still wrapped in plastic. It had just been installed. It was brand new for me, with a new integrated cooker, everything. It was beautiful. I looked out the window and guess who was in the garden? A landscaping team, cutting down all that long grass, trimming all the hedges and plants and trees. The universe had really fucking shown up for me. Tears were absolutely pouring out of my eyes at this point. Perseverance had paid off. This house was absolutely stunning and so fresh and so clean. It smelled immaculate. And it was the most beautiful fresh start I could have asked for. Now, obviously, I've practiced the law of attraction and manifestation for a long time. But something happened that really blew me away at how powerful you can be when you master the art of manifestation and when you live your life by the law of attraction. And that is the fact that I took a step back in the kitchen and I looked at these units in front of me. Something felt really familiar. The layout of the kitchen, the light grey floor, the grey units, the white worktops, even down to the extractor fan. The fact that the sink was on the left, looking out to the garden, the cooker was straight on from where I was standing. It felt so familiar. And then it clicked. I took out my phone. I went onto Pinterest. I went onto my vision board from 2016. The first big moment, there was little moments before then, but the first big moment that I was questioning my marriage. And I was starting to pin pictures to create a vision board of what I wanted my future house to look like. And this exact kitchen, the layout, the cupboard doors, the long metal handles, the sink looking out over to the garden, the extractor fan, everything, the white worktops, the grey cupboards, the grey floors, the white walls, all of it was in a picture that I had pinned for my dream future kitchen. The only tiny detail that was different was in my kitchen, there's gold handles, and in this picture, they were dark grey. It was the same kind of handle, the exact same cupboard doors. Everything was almost identical. And that's when I realised, you know what, sometimes the universe has to rearrange things in order to deliver your manifestation. That day that I had pinned that picture in 2016 was the start of the universe making this house available to me, because the first time that I saw this house was early on in 2018, before I'd even left my marriage. And it wasn't until summer of 2018 that I was finally able to call it my own and to fully receive all of the work that the universe had done to pull this house together and present it to me the way that it was. Absolutely immaculate. I have never, ever, ever felt so instantly content and had that massive sigh of relief of, I've done it. I'm here. I'm in. Everything is actually going to be okay. I didn't need that person at 2 a.m. on YouTube talking about how everything worked out for them. I needed to live my own story. I needed to figure it out for myself. I needed to make this work for me and my girls. And the story doesn't really stop there, because within the next 4 weeks, I had 2 pay in full one-to-one clients in my coaching business that then gave me money to support me financially to get through my first few months of independent mum life. Yes, my mum helped me out a little bit too for the first few months, but we were here with money in the bank, with a bit of support from my mum, in a brand newly decorated house, a gorgeous, gorgeous home for me and my girls to be our soft landing, to put our head on the pillows at night, to heal our hearts a little bit more, to really solidify our bond as a 3-piece now, and to really say, you know what, we're actually going to be okay. Now, I'm not sure if I ever would have got this house without applying the process of manifestation to it. Because imagine if I had never phoned the estate agents back and if they had just happened to give it to someone else that was on their list at some point. Or imagine if one of the times that my application form was ripped up and put in the bin, I didn't ever call back. Imagine I hadn't got Bill to go down to apologise after creeping in the garden. Imagine if they hadn't actually accepted my next application form. There were so many things that could have gone the opposite way, but every single thing went in my favour. It all worked out perfectly. Now, I've been in this house 7.5 years. This house means so much to me. I have such an emotional connection to this house. It's not healthy how much I'm obsessed with this house, every inch of it. I've healed so many parts of my heart from being inside this house. So have my girls. I've had so many emotional moments sitting on my kitchen floor crying my eyes out as I'm rebuilding life one step at a time. I'm scared, but I still had a home to call my own. A home that I'm so protective over who comes in, because we don't have bad energy in this house. This house is an absolute paradise of positive emotion. We don't have tension in this house. It doesn't exist in the walls of this building. This is our home. This is our happy place. This is our healing house. And I'm in a situation now where my partner, Michael, who we've been together 6 years on Sunday, we have 4 children between us. We live in 2 separate houses because there's not enough space for us all to live together all the time. And one of these days, we're going to have a house together. And you guys, it's not going to be this one because there's not enough space here. I am going to absolutely bawl my eyes out when it comes time for me to move from this house. There's going to have to be some fucking incredible story en route to this new house where we all live together under one roof, and I no longer have to say, I'll see you in a couple of days. I'll just get to say, I see you tonight. And who knows, that's probably going to happen in a podcast episode because it's something that we have been talking a little bit more about. So we'll see what happens there. But when I leave this house, we are going to have a full episode where I literally just sit and cry for a whole hour. That's all it's going to be. I'm just going to have a mental breakdown live because I actually can't imagine my life at the moment without coming home to this house. So either something magical is going to happen and I'm going to be able to own this house and extend it. That's always a possibility. We'll put that out there to the universe. Or something's going to happen and a house even better is going to come up in a better location, if that's possible, at a stunning price point that's big enough, and I've got my own office space and the kids have all got their own space too. That's also a possibility as well. I'm leaving the universe to decide my fate when it comes to this. But all I know is that I'm going to be heartbroken if I have to leave this house. However, if this whole process has taught me anything, it's that we always have to let go and trust. And that is what I am doing when it comes to manifesting my next house. I'm going to let go and trust. I'm not in a rush. It'll happen when it happens, and it's going to be fucking awesome because the universe knows what's best. And if the universe can serve me this, it's not about to let me down. Okay, you guys, what an episode. What an episode about manifesting a house. Unhinged times, incredible times. I just fucking love life. I really love life. And I'm so proud of myself and of my girls for walking the path that we have and to be on this journey, have been on this journey, and to rebuild life. It takes a lot, but we've done it and we continue to do it. And I wouldn't look back once. I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode with me. Please don't forget to comment below your favourite part or anything. Ask questions about manifesting a house, about manifestation in general. Whatever it is, leave me some comments below on Spotify, or if you're listening on Apple Music or anywhere else. And I'd also love it if you guys could review this podcast as well. Like I said, I've got big goals and dreams, and it's going to be a collective effort to get there. I love you guys. I'll speak to you next week.